what's up, guys? Welcome to episode number 142 of the Savvy Social Podcast. This show is brought to you by Fan Booster by Traject, which is the world's most complete social media management tool, and it's my tool of choice when it comes to scheduling, managing, and especially reporting on social media. Try them out for yourself for free by clicking the link with this video or in the show notes of the podcast. Now, today I'm talking all about Clubhouse, and it's the latest, greatest, hottest social networking platform out there right now. I've been testing it out and I have some notes, so buckle up for that. But if you're new here, I want to invite you to access our framework and our approach to social media. You can find it for free by going to onlinedrea.com/free. It's a free course that'll walk you through building a social media strategy that works for you. And it's a little sample of what is in our programming. For those of you who are die-hard listeners, welcome back. We're talking about Clubhouse today. I will say, as like an overall tone, I'm not as much of a fan of it as I thought I would be. So some of that may come through with my education in this episode, but I don't want you to be turned off of the platform just because I personally haven't had a great experience there. But I do want to share that. Now, let's start at the beginning. What is Clubhouse? Well, it's an audio-only app where you can have conversations with people all around the world, very similar to what you're doing on Twitter or other social networks where you're talking to people, except this is audio only. There's no way as of yet to record that audio, so it's live, real-time two-way conversation. Feels kind of like walkie-talkieing with your peeps. I remember when that was hot back in like 2008, everyone was walkie-talkieing. Kind of like that, kind of like Voxer, but public. It is only available through iOS devices at the moment. So Apple, if you've got an iPad, if you have an iPhone, do people still have iPods? That's where Clubhouse is available right now. And it is app only. There isn't a browser version of it as of yet. The third thing about Clubhouse that you need to know is that it's invite only as well, which is part of the reason why it blew up, in my opinion, is that we have this kind of almost like the elite or a select few people had these invitations, and the only way to get into the app is if someone else invites you in. Okay, we've seen this with other things like dating apps, for instance, where you only can go in by invite, like celebrity dating apps. And we've seen this with platforms like Facebook. In the early days, Facebook was invite only, or in a sense, in that you had to go to specific schools. And that's really what catapulted the platform, because I remember I graduated high school in 2007, and I had just got an invite to the platform, even though I wasn't in university yet. And that really excited me. And then a couple months later, they opened it to everybody. So who knows? They may open it to everybody as well. All right. So the big question of the day from a lot of you is, should I be on Clubhouse? Should I use it for my business? And I think it's a really good fit for business owners. If you also have podcasts, or if you're a speaker, or if you're an authority figure in some way, I do think there's space for you in the Clubhouse app. There's lots of conversations happening. You can facilitate rooms and yada, yada, yada. However, it's very easy to get lost on Clubhouse. And because of, I find the invite only status of the app, I struggled because I don't have a lot of followers on there. So I'm showing up as a social media person, and I really don't have a lot of clout on the app. And even just in social media in general, y'all know this, I've talked about this a lot. I don't have a ton of followers. I go deep rather than wide with my people. And so I think there's this instant judgment right off the bat if you don't have that. But you can build it quite easily if you say interesting things in popular rooms. You can also use Clubhouse to learn something new. This is not my preferred way of learning. If I want to learn something new, I find a specific topic, like a specific podcast episode or YouTube video or blog, and that's how I learn something new. But if you're like brand new to learning something, you're interested in a topic and you want to hear conversation around it, you could tune in. kind reminds me of radio days where you had to tune in to listen to a show. I mean, I grew up in the age of like TiVo and that sort of thing. I do not want to like sit and listen to someone hoping to get to the part that I want to hear. I'd much rather just search for the things that I want. And again, this is where my personal opinions about Clubhouse are shining through, but you can learn something new on the app. You can also participate. And this is one of the cool things about Clubhouse is that even if you don't host your own rooms, you can virtually raise your hand. They can virtually bring you on stage and you can participate in the app. Now, a lot of people choose to do this as a Q&A format from what I've seen. When I think the more powerful way to have these conversations is more conversational. I do think having moderators bring people on stage has a certain dynamic, right? There's people who are in charge and then there's people who aren't. And it's not a situation where everyone gets their turn at the mic. It's more that the moderators of the room get to choose who gets past the mic virtually. But you can participate if you'd like. And then also an interesting way I've been using Clubhouse is for market research. So because I'm a marketer and I'm in this space a lot, oftentimes I am looking for new ways to market. I'm trying to get a pulse point on the industry. Part of my job is to explore new platforms like these. And so you can use it for market research. A lot of people on there right now, there's a lot of marketers on there. There's a lot of online business owners, but there's also conversations happening generally about specific topics like how do I launch a speaking career? How do I get promoted in my job? And so even just looking through the rooms and the different titles, you can have get a sense of what questions people are asking or what topics people are talking about. And you can start incorporating that in your social media strategies and other places. All right. Lastly, I want to talk about how to get the most out of Clubhouse. Like I said, I didn't personally enjoy the app for a number of reasons. One, I started off just trying to go into these big rooms, raising my hand, hoping to get on stage. There was one time on a Saturday, I was in a room for an hour and a half, raised my hand, got on stage, and essentially got passed over a number of times. Didn't like it when they handed me the mic virtually, so to speak. I was cut off. I wasn't allowed to talk. I didn't like that experience at all. And it just wasn't fun. Like I just didn't feel like I felt like I was back in high school and I wasn't the cool kid again. And that's not why I like the internet. I like the internet for finding little pockets and little groups of people that you actually connect with. So that leads me to my first tip is to join small rooms or start your own. So Clubhouse has different rooms where you can go and listen in. And I find that the rooms with less than 50 people tend to be the most productive for me. I can actually connect with the people who are in the room, connect with the speakers and moderators, and participate in a way that makes sense for me. And typically, what I try to do is if I am on a stage in Clubhouse and I'm not moderating and I'm asking questions, I will try to connect with the moderator and thank them either by sending them a tweet or a direct message on Twitter or Instagram. You cannot right now chat within the app outside of like audio conversations. So a lot of people have their Twitter and Instagram linked in their bio. So you can continue the conversation that way. So I like to thank the speaker or moderator for any room that I'm in. That's a really cool way to connect. But small rooms with people who you would have possibly never connected with before. Also, you could start your own rooms. This has been my favorite way to use Clubhouse is to start my own rooms. My friend Sarah at Podcasting Step by Step, and she's starting a new venture, which I'm not quite sure of the name of yet. She probably told me and I forgot. So sorry, Sarah. I will link it in the show notes and in the description of the video. But she has been an amazing connection for me to co-host rooms. So we've co-moderated a few rooms together. I'm sure we'll do more in the future. And I really enjoy the experience of moderating and co-hosting a room because it felt like a conversation. We talked about all sorts of things, and it kind of showed me what the app could be. And it almost was like those old school day forums where you popped into a forum thread of some obscure thing and you had a conversation with someone who was also interested in that same thing, which is why I love the internet and why I love marketing. And to connect with people who you would have never connected with before. And it felt really good. And so I really like starting my own rooms. You can also use Clubhouse as a tool to grow your business. I've seen a lot of people do this as like building out a Clubhouse funnel. So if you plan on hosting Clubhouse rooms, since there's no way to really connect on Clubhouse, the call to action could be something like join my funnel, your website.com/clubhouse. I will post all of the notes and links and things that I mentioned here today in the session. And that's how you get on my list and connect with me further. If you start your own rooms, you can use Clubhouse as a funnel in that way. But it is a tool to grow your business. If you are hosting rooms, I do want you to remember that people are coming in and out of your room. So take a moment to reset the room whenever you can. So what that means is every 15, 20 minutes, or depending how long your session is, you may want to say, for those of you who are new here, this is what we're talking about, and this is who we have. This is just a really great strategy no matter what you're doing. It's a strategy that I teach inside of the Savvy Social School. If you're hosting live anything, live videos on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, and now live audio in Clubhouse. So reset the room frequently if you are hosting your own room. And then also make sure you have your bio section completely filled out. I have seen really long about sections in there. I'm not quite sure what the length is, like what the maximum is. It seems like you can add a lot into that bio. Once you join Clubhouse, click around to see who's in there and see what they have in their bios. And that could really give you inspiration for yours. In the Savvy Social School coming up, we are hosting a Clubhouse office hours. So leading up to that, we're going to release things like optimized Clubhouse bio templates and Clubhouse promo graphics so you can help. So stay tuned for that. We've got it planned right now for April 29th. But that's a tentative date. It may change, but April 29th at 6 p.m. in the school, we'll be hosting office hours to support you if you're starting your Clubhouse journey. And we'll have resources for you like the bio. Okay. Few other things about Clubhouse is to use your best judgment on the app. There is a lot of misinformation on this app. I've seen a lot of people talk about misogyny, anti-Semitic rhetoric. Because it's audio only, because it's not recorded, and because it's self-moderating, there's a lot of problems with the conversations that some people are having on this app. Now, I will say that happens everywhere. Okay. Like these conversations happen all the time everywhere. So I'm not surprised by it. It happens on literally every single platform has a problem with it. And what I want you to note is that Clubhouse is adding in features to help moderate these issues. So you can start reporting people, and they're working on other things like that. But know that there's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of stories coming out about people saying that like they're millionaires. They'll host these rooms on how to be a millionaire, and they're not millionaires. But I feel like this is internet common sense. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like it's just internet common sense. Like anybody can be whoever they want to be on the internet. We have whole shows about people catfishing. So of course it's going to happen on this app too. So don't just pop into a room because someone's going to teach you how to have a 7-figure business, and then you find out later they don't have that business. I mean, I feel like anyways, I just feel like that's common sense. So use your best judgment. Anything you hear on the app, fact check it. Like don't just take everything as fact. And then the last tip I'll leave you with is to limit your time on this app. And this just goes into my philosophy on social media is that we shouldn't be spending hours and hours and days on these apps. I know they're designed to be addictive, but especially as business owners and content creators, we have other things to do, right? Like I spent hours in this app researching it to create this episode, to bring this information to my students. And as you guys know, I don't really like the app, but it's part of my job. I'm doing it. If you don't like it, don't use it. It's as simple as that. If you do like it, moderate, because you could easily moderate your time, I should say. You could easily spend a lot of time on this app and waste a lot of your time. And I don't want you to do that with any social platform, but especially this one. And I find that because it's live, it adds into that FOMO, right? That fear of missing out. I have an episode on this a whole podcast episode on why FOMO is good and bad and how it works in marketing. But when you're on the receiving end, you have to be especially mindful of this FOMO feeling and how we feel like we're going to miss out on some conversation. And so we stay listening to these conversations for much longer than we should, right? So moderate your time on the app. Do you like Clubhouse? Am I the only one? Please DM me on Instagram and tell me if I'm the only one. I'm at OnlineDrea. Let me know if you like it. If you don't, if you're on it, let's connect. If you need an invite, ask me. I do have, I think, 6 at the time of recording this. And I think the more I invite and spend time, the more invites I get. So maybe I'll have more. I'm happy to give them away. Remember, it's iOS only, so you have to have an Apple device, and you do have to give me your phone number in order for it to happen. So if you don't feel comfortable with that, totally fine. But I do want to offer that as well. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Savvy Social Podcast. I will see you next time. Bye for now.